Okay, so you want to learn how to use COUNTIF in Microsoft Excel. Now, first of all, we are going to count the number of people in this list that are aged 67. Equals COUNTIF. So the COUNTIF function has two arguments, range and criteria. Range is the range of cells that you're counting in. So for us, that's these values in column C, comma, criteria is the criteria you are applying to your count. So we only want to count the ages that are equal to 67. So I could type 67 into my formula for the criteria, close the bracket, press enter, and it counts that there are two people aged 67. Now, an alternative to typing your criteria directly into the formula is to refer to a cell that contains your criteria. So I'm saying my criteria is in H2, and that also works. Now, the advantage of having our criteria in this cell is that I can easily change it, for example, to 52. And it now counts that there is one person aged 52 in our list. Okay, let's go to our second example. We want to count the number of people that hold a driving license. So equals COUNTIF. The range, once again, is the range of cells that you're counting in. So for us, that's column D. And then our criteria is going to be yes. Now, because it's a text value, it has to go in speech marks. And it counts that there are 3 people with a driving license. Now, at the moment, we've hard-coded our criteria into the formula. I could instead refer to the criteria in another cell. And you can see that that still works. Now let's just go back to our age example. What if I wanted to count the number of people in our list over a certain age? Let's say over 65. Now, if I was to hard code that criteria into my formula, I would have to write greater than 65. But if I leave it like that and press enter, it tells me there's a problem with this formula. Now the problem is that I need to put speech marks around that criteria. If it's a number on its own, you don't need speech marks, but if you're using a number with a comparison operator, you do need speech marks. So there we are. We have 4 people who are over the age of 65. Now, what if I wanted to refer to that criteria in another cell? Well, I could write in the cell greater than 65. So now, if I take this hard-coded criteria out of my formula and refer to the cell, the formula still works. Now, you might think having the greater than symbol in the cell looks a little bit odd. So what we could do is hard-code the comparison operator into our formula, but refer to the threshold value within a cell. Now, to do that, we'd have to get rid of the greater than symbol in this cell, then go to our formula and type the greater than symbol into our criteria argument. Now, that will need to go in quotation marks or speech marks. Then I put an ampersand symbol in, which is going to join this comparison operator to the value in H2. So if I press enter, you can now see it works. So the advantage of this is I could type in 70 and it would tell me that there was one person who is older than 70 years of age. Okay, let's move on to this last example. We want to count the number of postcodes that start with the characters BN1. So equals COUNTIF. My range is the range of cells containing postcodes, comma, and let's put in our criteria. Because it's text, it needs to go in quotation marks. And I'm going to close the bracket and press enter. And it's counted that there are no postcodes that equal BN1. And that's because the postcodes begin with BN1, but they have other characters. Now, to specify that begins with criteria, we use a wildcard character. And the wildcard character is the asterisk symbol, the symbol that we normally use for multiplication. So that's Shift and 8 on your keyboard. If I press enter, you can see it works. Now, if I didn't want to hard code the criteria into my formula, I could put that wildcard character into this cell at the end of BN1 and then refer to that cell for my criteria. And you can see that that works as well. Now, what we could do is hard code the wildcard character into our formula, but leave the rest of the criteria in this cell. So I'll take that wildcard character out. And what I'm going to do is refer to H4, but then concatenate or join the value in H4 to that wildcard character, which would need to go in quotation marks. And if I press enter, you can see that it now works, and I could change this criteria in H4 to GU12, and it would count that there was one postcode that started with those characters. Okay, that's all I wanted to cover in this particular video. Hopefully that's useful. If it is, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you next video.